I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay, I think we'll start the meeting up. I want to thank everyone for attending. Our main topic today is going to be how to find help or learning by myself, Tom Kreuzer. Our agenda will cover a few club status and things, and then we'll get to the main topic. So you should be seeing my screen right now. Future meetings. Our next general meeting will be Tuesday, or there'll be a meeting Tuesday, October 6th. I have a question and answer meeting. So you're welcome to join that meeting. I'm usually holding those once a month now. And then our next general meeting, excuse me, will be Wednesday, October 21st. And that'll be on Chromebook PC. And we'll talk about what they do well and some of the things that they can't do there. As was mentioned, we do have a MACSIG, and the MACSIG meets once a month. Their next meeting is September 25th. Web only. If you're interested in that, contact Mike Griffin or send a note to me and I'll get it on to him and he'll get you on the list there. Our officers, our president is Jim Holman. Vice president is Linda Brown. Membership secretary is Paul Ebert. Treasurer and MACSIG is Mike Griffin. Our secretary is Chuck Scott. Andrew Petrucci is our communication coordinator, and my name is Tom Kreuzer. I'm a director at large. Members old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul. Paul sends out an email when you expire, so everybody has their different months when they expire, so it's not one general time there. And you will get an email when you're about to expire there. Also a reminder, if you're changing emails, make sure to notify us because that's the way we send out these notices and keep in touch. Suggestions for topics, you can email your suggestions or talk to any of the board members. We'd love to have you volunteer to present on particular hardware and software you might be using at work or at home. Or if you don't want to present, we do have a monthly newsletter that we put out, and you could write a short sentence or two or multiple pages for the newsletter. Website, we do post the slides and handouts, so the handout for today's meeting, if you want it, is currently out there, and I believe Jim Holman should have got the handout also posted in the chat today. So if you go to the chat, you could download it, or go out to the website, you could download it and print it for the meeting right now. We also,
and I'll say working on it.
Oh, you're working on it.
It's not uploading. I've got it, but we'll get it in there.
Okay. Otherwise, if you can get to the website, if you're not a 3M or using a 3M computer, you could go out to the website and download it there too. We also record most of these meetings, so if you miss one or want to revisit one, you can go out and look at the recording from the past meeting. We do have a deals section, the monthly newsletter I mentioned, and that's all out at our website. We won't open it up for questions or comments, but we do at this time, we'll save those till the end. We do ask you to mute your audio and turn off your video till the question and answer at the end of the presentation. If you do have a question, you can type it in the chat, or you can wait till the end of the presentation to ask. And I mentioned that the handout will be out in the chat shortly, or it's out on the PC Club website right now also. Okay, our main topic today is how to find help or learning by myself, Tom Kreuzer. The internet provides a wealth of free information. So if you're looking for anything, it's out there. It may take looking at several links to find a solution, but you should be able to find help for just about anything in the world that you're doing. And that could include a hardware question, a software question, how do I do something, what to buy, or virtually any topic under the sun, the internet can be a great help there. Okay, how do you search? Well, I recommend using Google, but you can use pretty much any of the major search engines will do. So if you're using Bing or Yahoo, or there's a whole bunch of different search engines that you could be using. But again, I'll be talking about Google, but they're all pretty much the same there. Most engines do contain an advanced search option, and I'll describe and show that a little bit because in my experience, a lot of people don't use the capability there. With the Chrome or the Edge browser and doing a Google search, you can also use the microphone icon to search using your voice. Just like you can do on your tablet or smartphone, and that saves you having to spell or type things out or things like that. So I found that very user-friendly to work with. If you are typing, don't worry about spelling or capitalization when doing the search. It really doesn't matter. Be as specific as possible. And as an example, asking how to change print margins in a PDF. You can limit the results that you see if you just want to see videos, or if you were shopping for something to see prices and places where it might be available, or news or images. You can easily do that with the icons in the search results there. And the other way is through settings and then doing advanced search. So that allows you to do a lot of filtering there. The advanced search filters, and I'll show a demo after this slide here, but you pull it up and you have all of these options. By default, every word that you type in is considered all of these words, not necessarily in the order that you type it in, but somewhere on the site or on the page, you'll find all the words that you type in. If you want the exact phrase, you can put it in the advanced search, or you can put double quotes around the exact words that you want. If you want to use or, you can use or. You can say none of these words, so exclude any results that have these words in it. If you want to do a range of numbers, you can easily do ranges of numbers. If you want to, the results that you're getting have different languages in, and you just want to limit it to a certain language, you can do that. You can limit it to a certain region of the world, so you can limit it that way. This I find useful and I use quite often is last updated. So if you're looking at pages that have been updated, let's say in the last year, I can just limit my search to just those pages, or in the last month if it's a new topic that you're looking for and you don't want old information that's really out of date because it no longer pertains to the version or whatever you're looking for there. You can also limit by site or domain, and so if the site or the domain that you're using does not have its own search function, you can limit it to just the pages and the information that's within that site. So that can be a quick way to do it. Oh, excuse me here. That's me. Sorry about that. So you can limit it to just a site or domain. Again, if they don't have their own search. If they have a search, it can be, you certainly can use that search first, but if they don't have a search, limiting it to a particular site can be very helpful there. Terms appearing, so you can just say I want stuff that appears in a page title as opposed to the whole page, or in a document that's attached, or things like that. So nice way to limit it there also. Safe search, This is more if you have kids or want to limit what comes back, you can limit it that way. File type, you could also limit it to just show me PDF files or PowerPoint files or a document file or an Excel file. You could say I'm looking for this and just show me the results that pertain to that. Usage rights, again, whether it's not filtered, you can find pages that are free and that I don't use this option that often there. Okay, before we do this, let me do this. I didn't want that. So let's go to Google here, and I'm going to go to Google. And as I mentioned, this is a standard Google. You will see a microphone, so rather than me having to work my fingers and type in, I can use the microphone here. And how to change print margins in a PDF.
According to Microsoft support, go to Layout, Margins, select Margins, and then select Custom Margins. In the top, bottom, left, and right boxes, set the margins that you want, and then select Default. When you are prompted, select Yes to change the default settings for document layout.
So you can see the microphone can work there. I didn't get my PDF in time there to get it, but you can see that it just similar to Siri and Google, where you're asking questions, you can get responses. I can then scroll through here. If it's not exactly what I want, I can do the search again, or I can go to the settings, and we'll go to Settings, Advanced Search. Now within the advanced search, these are all those options that we just talked about. So I can change this and I can say, I only want pages that have been updated in the last month. And now if I do my search here, my search is now limited to pages that have been updated within the last month. So this is a quick way of filtering and finding exactly what I want. And if you're getting millions of hits and not finding the information that you want, use the advanced search. Go up to the settings, advanced search, and start limiting what you're looking for, and you should be able to find exactly what you need there. So that's the way the voice on the Google search works, and that's the way the advanced search works, and it can make hunting for things easier there. So let's go back to our presentation. Okay, when you get results back, some of the results that you get back will contain an AD in front of them. And if you're not familiar, the AD stands for an advertisement. And that means that the company that has this website or whatever it is, the company has paid money to have that result shown. Ugh. And it's not really a true indicator of how popular this site may be. And so if I was searching for routers as an example, and I see this result and it's an advertisement, and it's sending me to this website, www.bestadvisor.com, I'm going to be skeptical that they really did an unbiased review of routers there, because chances are somebody paid to both have this show up in the search results, and they probably paid to have themselves show up in the top list of routers there. So when you do get results back, again, be skeptical if the results came from an ad there, because somebody had to pay money to have those results shown in there. Otherwise, the other results are shown because of their popularity. Which results are the most popular, which have people looked at and spent time on. So I usually stay away from the ones that are ads there, and be skeptical of any reviews or recommendations that they may have, because again, if a company paid money, it's not a true indicator of the popularity there. Okay, what to use, or what sites are reliable, and myself, I have a number of sites that I use. PC Magazine is probably one of the oldest, and I would say the most respected sites, just because of they've been around since the 80s, when the PCs were first came out, and have done unbiased reporting there. So PC Magazine, any links to PC Magazine, or going out to the PC Magazine website and searching for reviews or recommendations, I trust what they have. Same goes for ZDNet, that's for zipdavisnet.com, also very good. Third one is called Tom's Guide, and it's not my own website. I don't even know who Tom's is, but they're well respected in the industry, and if you're looking for reviews and recommendations, very good there. Another one I hadn't heard of before, it's called Make Use Of, and this was suggested by Chuck Scott, member, our current secretary, and I took a look out there, and it looks like a very nice site. It has lots of information and good reviews and articles and the latest in the industry, so I've included it here, and give that a shot. Another one that I'd recommend is a site called How Stuff Works. And How Stuff Works, it's not just computer stuff, so they'll get into wide, almost everything under the sun. If you're unfamiliar with a particular topic, or hardware, software, tools, things like that, you can go out to the How Stuff Works, and they have videos and documents and things like that to get you up to speed there. Also, I also subscribe to their podcast. They have a podcast, and it's called How Stuff Works. And the podcast is a couple of the guys from the site going through all these different topics, and they come up with a new topic every day. So it's kind of interesting there. I don't listen to all their podcasts, but probably 1 in 5 or something like that. I find a subject out there that I don't know that much about, and it's just handy to listen to the podcast and get some information about a subject that I never knew that much about. So again, I recommend this site for information there. There are many ask a question sites, so you'll see little groups or forums or things like that. I tend to stay away from a lot of those sites, and the first thing I'll check, if I do have a question or answer that I'm looking for, I'll first try the vendor. So if you have a vendor like Microsoft or HP or things like that, I usually go to the vendor site to check their question and answers, or if I want to leave a question there, I'll first try those sites to get it there. Rather than go to some of these more obscure sites that allow me to ask a question, I just as soon start with the vendor who may have more information there. Also, as an option for asking a question, you can use the PC Club website. We do have a Contact Us webpage where you can ask questions, and myself and the other board members will attempt to supply an answer there. As I mentioned earlier, I currently do have once a month online question and answer session the first Tuesday of the month, so you're welcome to do that. And we do have a Max Sig, and the Max Sig, as part of their meeting, also has a question and answer. So you have a couple of different resources within the club here where you can get ask questions and get some answers there. So there's a resource that you can use. Okay, this I was surprised. A number of people that I talked to are not familiar with this. This is the Microsoft Get Help app, and it's part search engine and part portal for reaching customer support. So this is an app that comes installed with Windows 10. I've highlighted it down here. If you go to the Windows Start menu and look under Get Help, you'll see Get Help, and it's free to use. And let's pull it up here. You start with a virtual chat bot providing answers to your questions. So you get a screen where you can type in your question over here, and it's similar to texting. So you type in your question, and then a virtual, a non-human person, or a non-human is responding back, trying to narrow down and trying to point you to a good article or a good solution to your problem there. And it'll come up with stuff here. If you want to talk to a real person, what you do in the chat is you just type in human. And when you type in human, it'll ask what topic are you looking for information on. Once you specify the area that you're looking for, you'll be connected to a real live human, free of charge, from Microsoft, and they'll help you out any way that they can. So again, it's free with Windows, with Microsoft there, and it's like having a support agent at your fingertips. I believe it's 7x24, so any time of the day or night, go ahead, go out there, and you can get help on Microsoft and the Microsoft products there. So it's a real nice way to get help there. And like I say, I was surprised. Most of the people who I recommend using this, they've never heard of it or never tried it, but you can get a lot of questions answered there. And yeah, well, we'll pull it up real quick here. I'll get out of here. So you go down to your Windows, click on Windows, go down to your G's, and there's Get Help. Once it connects to Microsoft here, you can type in a question. And, you know, the Windows will not shut down. So I can ask any question, and this is, it'll say, oh, is this what you're looking for? Restarting, rebooting, you know, which are you doing? Okay, let's go here. Okay, then it's saying, well, this is how this is done. Did this solve it? No, it didn't solve the problem there. Try and ask another question, or you can talk to a person. So in this case, I don't even have to type human. I can just click on the talk to a person and connect to a person there. So it's a nice little tool for getting help. And like I say, if the price is right, it's free. It's already on your computer. It's ready to go. Okay, another thing that's important in help and learning here is manuals. Most vendors no longer provide a printed manual for their products, but you can find full PDF files, usually of their manuals, online. You can search using the vendor and the model number along with the word manual. When you find the manual, and usually the manual is found out on the vendor's website, when you find the manual, I recommend that you save the PDF file to your PC in a directory, and I specifically put mine in Documents directory under Manuals, and I use the vendor name, the model name, and the date as the date that I got this as the file name, so that I can look up these manuals anytime that I want going forward there. And also with the date and the models and stuff like that, when I no longer have these items, I'll know that I can delete it and get rid of it. The PDFs are easy to search because you can search within the text in there. So actually I find them more valuable than if I had a printed manual that I'd have to store somewhere, and I'd have to find it. I'd have to maybe look through a whole bunch of pages. This way I can just do a search and usually find things that I want. Now, when I buy a new smartphone or PC, TV, or tablet, I recommend that people download the manual and read it cover to cover. I know that sounds boring to a lot of people, but it'll expose you to the hundreds of features and functions that you most likely would never know about. I'm always surprised when I talk to people about their phones or about their PC or something like that, and they really don't know all the features and functions that are built in there. Whereas if you went through the manual, and you don't have to go through it cover to cover and in one day, maybe a few pages a day, maybe while you're waiting for somebody to show up at a restaurant or something like that, you go through a few pages. You go through it as time permits, and you'd be surprised how many new features and functions you'll find that you didn't know that your devices had. And this is a good way of doing that. Like I mentioned here, most of the people maybe only know 10 to 20% of what their smartphone cameras can do, or their smartphone in general. And going through the manual will expose you to all these different features. So some of them you may find very valuable, others maybe aren't that important, but at least now you know that your phone has that capability there. Also, I mentioned here, prior to COVID, I'd go to a lot of garage sales and church sales, and I'd pick up equipment and devices there. And so if you're picking up used or older equipment there, it's very handy to be able to search for manuals and know how to set some of these things up because you have access to the manual then. And this is just an example. If you are doing a Google search, put in the name of the product, the model if you have it, and the word manual. Okay, tutorials. First thing, check and see what comes with the software application that you have. A number of software products do have tutorials built into them, or FAQs or things like that built in. You can usually check under the help or hit F1 to see what's available. Millions of videos are out on YouTube on every subject that you can think of. So I do recommend searching YouTube or that for a particular solution, or if you're trying to learn there, a ton of stuff out there. There's other sites like the Khan Academy, which has hundreds of free classes. So if your kids are getting into algebra or geometry or things like that, and you don't feel real confident, these classes are available out there where you can brush up and kind of clear some of the cobwebs and learn a few things there. But also they're handy if you're looking to do a programming language, as an example. Go out there and you can start learning a programming language for free there. What I don't recommend is, certainly there's lots of books out there. I don't recommend buying books. The books tend to be old and maybe out of date. So the fact that somebody had to write it, it had to get published, it had to get put out, may mean that it's already out of date, whereas most of this online content is more up to date. Also, there's so much free content out on the web that why pay for something that is available out there. Search for help when you're trying to do something or run into a question or a problem. So you always have that option. Excuse me. The more specific you are in your search, the better your results will be. So if I'm using Excel and I'm trying to figure out how to filter a column or that, if I just type how to filter in Excel, I'm going to find YouTube videos. I'm going to find examples of how to do that in Excel. Okay, let's talk about some troubleshooting tips. So if you're having problems, could be problems with software, could be problems with hardware, the first thing you want to do is don't panic. Most computer problems have simple solutions, although it may take some time to find them. The first, and I think we've all heard this, is reboot or restart your PC or phone or tablet or laptop, whatever it is. This can solve a lot of issues with hardware and software. If a device is frozen, you may have to hold down the power button for 10 seconds to cause it to turn off. But all devices, I recommend all devices being restarted at least once a week, and that includes desktops, tablets, routers, modems, or a phone. If your PC or software is giving you an error message, be sure to write it down exactly or capture and print it or capture the screen there so that you can then search for it. Because again, the more specific you are when searching for a problem or a solution there, the better the results are going to be. If you're having trouble with a specific piece of hardware, like a monitor or a keyboard, your first step should be to unplug and plug in all the related cables that might be attached to that device. Because sometimes cables can wiggle loose, connections can be not intermittent there. So unplugging and plugging in is always a good first step there too. Also, use the process of elimination. Make a list of things that could be causing the problem and then test them out one by one to eliminate them. So as an example, your printer's not printing. Well, the first thing that you could do there is maybe print a test page from the printer to see if it's in the printer or the computer. So all printers through their menu have an option where you can print a test page. And if that prints out okay, now you've eliminated that the printer is the problem. So the problem, if that page prints out correctly, there has to be something between your printer and the computer there. So the next thing maybe you check is the printer queue. Is the job just sitting in your printer queue? Is it the software that you are using? Maybe that isn't working right. So try printing from different software. If you're using a Wi-Fi printer, could it be a Wi-Fi or an internet problem? So you're just eliminating these possible causes to the problem there. And you want to go through this kind of checklist to see if you can eliminate what might be the issue and where the real issue might be. Try to narrow down your problem to see if it's a hardware or a software problem. If it's a hardware problem, figure out your options. So if it is a hardware problem, might you have to buy something new? Might you have to restore or back up? If it just started not working in a OS upgrade, you might have to reset things or figure if there's a new driver there. So it's things like that. You're trying to narrow it down. For operating system problems and questions, If you have an Apple device, you can take that device to the Apple store and get an answer there. Or like we just talked about for Microsoft, you used to be able to go out to the Microsoft store, but Microsoft has closed most of its stores. So your best option for help there is what we talked about earlier, the Get Help app. Using that, and you can connect with a human if you can't find answers through asking questions that way. In the past, some of the computer stores would do free estimates to fix a hardware problem. Now, a lot of them do charge, with the cost going towards the bill if you choose to use their service. So if you do have to take it in, be aware that is it going to be cheaper maybe to buy something new or to have it fixed there. If a software app is not working right, for the apps on phones and tablets and even on a PC or a laptop, one of your options is to uninstall the software and then reinstall it. That way you're sure you're getting all the files, DLLs, settings, things like that set up. Also make sure that you have the most current version or patch of the software. You can usually look under the help settings to see if there's an update, or if it's an app, check your app updater there. If your PC is slow, several years ago or 3 years ago, we did check out the PC meeting, why is my PC slow, and how to optimize Windows. So that has a ton of things to help you check out there, using things like Task Manager and your startup and checking and seeing what's going on there. You can always seek help from other people, and it's best, don't be spinning your wheels or get frustrated or spend a whole lot of time. Again, you can do a Google search, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to people within the club there, you can ask questions. Just to make sure you're not heading down the wrong path or spending a lot of time chasing something. Also, I recommend write down or document the steps that you're doing in case you need to undo your changes. And so if you are going through and you've seen stuff out on the web on how to fix it, and it tells you to go in and change this setting or make this change or copy this or do that, make sure you write down what you're doing in case you do have to undo it, because it may cause a problem for something else. Also, if you do end up talking to other people or asking for help from other people, it's always nice to let them know the things that you've tried, because it's going to save them time maybe suggesting solutions that you've already tried. So knowing what you've done can be, you should document what you're doing there. Some more tips, if you think you may be making many changes to Windows, you're going to be making a major change to Windows, either installing some software or doing some things there. Windows allows you to do what's called a restore point. And so that restore point, if you do have a problem, allows you to undo things that you've done since that restore point. And you can do that by going into the Windows Start, search for Create a Restore Point, and then click on Top Results, which is Control Panel, and then under Protection Settings, you can click a button which will let you create a restore point. Also, I recommend here run a thorough virus scan after making sure it's up to date, just to make sure that your problems might that you don't have a virus causing your problems there. So you do want to make sure that your virus is scanning and has scanned the PC and also has updated virus definitions. Another thing to check is to make sure that you haven't just run out of hard disk space or SSD. That's solid state device space. Some of the laptops nowadays, or even the desktops, come with a smaller hard drive or a solid state hard drive, and some of those can get filled up with the music or video or pictures. And if they get full, then some of the software, the operating system and some of the software will not function correctly. You should always uninstall software or apps that you no longer use. This frees up space and less problems. Last resort, you could reset the device, and resetting the device is essentially reloading Windows there. And that's can be done, but again, last resort type of thing. Make sure that you backed up everything and you're all set there. Okay, that's the end of the formal presentation. We'll look at some of the chat questions, and then if you want to ask anything too, you can unmute your audio and video to ask a question. So I'll stop sharing at this particular time. Let me see here. And we'll go back there and let's go to the chat. Let's see. Okay, Bonnie asks, can I use a generic replacement battery for my HP PC? Suggested places for purchase. I want to keep my current Windows 10 PC because I have the Windows programs like Word and Excel, and they are fine for my needs. I don't want to have to pay for 365 subscription. I need the PC for third-party software. Microsoft did an auto update yesterday. Now I can access my doc. Now I can't access, and my Gmail have gone missing. That sounds like other problems there. Well, let's start up at the top there. Can I use a generic replacement battery for my HP? Batteries on laptops, some people need the portability, so after 3, 4, 5 years, the batteries will go bad and need to be replaced. Some people will just use the laptop plugged in and not buy new batteries. If you want to have the batteries, you're going to have to buy either a generic. The difference between a generic and an HP battery, I do a little Google search and see people's experience there. I've heard people have good experiences, and I've had people have bad experiences replacing batteries. So there isn't one answer for everybody there. Suggested places to purchase. Usually, I recommend people, if you're purchasing anything, check out on Amazon, check out on eBay, check the internet in general, and see what the prices are. Once you know what it goes for, then you could check if there's some place locally, Best Buy or that might have some of the stuff, but in most cases you're going to find online prices and availability of products to be better than a local place. So check around there and see what's going on there. She mentions her problems with Microsoft. If stuff stopped working there, I don't know the specifics or the errors exactly. You could Google that, like we talked about. If you, worst case scenario, you could undo the update and go back to the previous version there. Usually you do want to be running the most current because that has the patches to vulnerabilities and other things there. But if it sounds like you may have an older version of Office or that, and older versions of any software, when new versions of the operating system come out, sometimes they aren't compatible with some of the drivers or the changes that are out there. So you just kind of have to see there. And she was mentioning, I guess, with her Office there that she didn't want to upgrade to Office 365. That's committing to an annual fee to keep the license. So certainly I can understand that, and that I do not want or need OneDrive and Google Drive. Do I want or need? I recommend, and we've talked about backing up. You want to make sure that your stuff is backed up. You also want to make sure that your documents may be available on multiple devices. To have them available on multiple devices may mean that you put stuff out on Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive or a number of other cloud storage solutions. That means that I can access a number of my documents and spreadsheets and things like that from my smartphone, from my tablet, from my laptop, from my desktop, all these different devices. So it can be kind of nice there. Okay, next question. The issue is the transferring of my files to OneDrive. Just started transferring files. Let's see here.
So that's a troubleshooter.
Yeah, I guess I don't see anything else there. Transferring files, you should have a strategy of what you want to share and how you want to share. So which files you need or make available, that's entirely up to you what you share there. And when you share it on OneDrive or Google Drive, you are the one in control. So by default, when I put a file up in either of those places, I'm the only person that can update it or see it. So I can make it available to other people to see or to update, but I have control over who can update it and who can see it. So it isn't like everybody on the internet has access to all my files. By default, most of my files are private to me only. Okay, John asked, does Bing have the same advanced search options as you mentioned? Yes, Bing has the same, well, I shouldn't say exactly the same, but it does have an advanced search there, and you can filter out and get the results that you want. So again, if you only want the results of pages that have been updated in the last month or the last year, you can just see that. Or you can do the more complex searches for ranges of numbers and things like that in there. Okay, Bonnie mentions, but the problem is I'm not the one in control. Microsoft OneDrive is transferring my files to them. Don't think let me get here. Don't think I asked for that. Well, by default, what you have going on with OneDrive and Google Drive is they will automatically take files in certain directories. If you do not want to do that, you are in the one in control, so you can choose which files and which directories you want backed up. So you do really control that, and how you store your files, where you store your files, that gets into what gets backed up and what gets stored up on the cloud there. But ultimately, you're the one, and you can turn off that automatic. So by the automatic backup that you're talking about is something that is a feature in OneDrive or in Google Drive that will automatically sync files between your laptop or desktop and the cloud. You can turn that entirely off where you would have to manually upload or download files to keep them in sync. And usually you don't want that because you do want it automatically to keep things in sync. But the ultimate what gets backed up, where it gets backed up from, you are in control of your machine, and you can turn it on and off. You can tell it what directories, what additional directories, don't back up this, don't back up that. So you are truly in control there. Okay, any other questions that people might have there?
There's one more from John.
Oh, let me get back there. Are files stored on OneDrive available across all devices? Yes, they are available on all devices. The way you get access to them on some of the other devices, like a smartphone or a tablet, is through an app. So OneDrive has an app that allows you to synchronize stuff on your smartphone or tablet, or to download files. Download or upload, and that's the way that you can share them across all different devices. Now, I'm a fan of Google, and with Google, you also have additional options, and Microsoft also has these options. If you have Microsoft Office will seamlessly let you save or edit or view stuff that you have in OneDrive on any of your devices. For Google, Google has products like Sheets and Google Docs and that. And if you load those apps on your different devices, again, that is accessing your cloud-based files and that. And so I can get at my spreadsheets on my smartphone, on my tablet, through any of my devices there. Okay, and then Bonnie asked the question, Chromebooks. Chromebooks, that's an entirely different meeting. Next meeting will be on Chromebooks, and I'll go into some of the good things that they do and what they can do, and some of the things that they can't do there. So there's a lot of things that they can do, but certainly they have their limitations also. Any other questions or comments there? But the help in general, certainly go out there. Google search will get you a long way. There's tons of stuff. If it's a Microsoft product or that, like I mentioned, the Get Help. Has anybody in the group used the Get Help or that before? I'm not seeing a lot of
I guess,
response,
yeah.
so I'm guessing.
I have a little bit. One of the things is it should be filed under help instead of get help. If
It's
you didn't know it was there, at least it's close with G to H, but
yeah, I'll have to say they haven't done a good job of advertising it and that, and most of the people, like I said, that I've talked to or mentioned that they use it, they'll go, what? Never heard of it, and I guess again, this kind of goes back to when most people got Windows 10. I would guess that only a small percentage of the people that got Windows 10 ever looked at what were the new features and functions. And so all this stuff was added, and each new version of Windows comes out with a long list of changes and new features and functions, and most people don't know what's out there. You kind of have to go out there and read some of the updates that they have, or in the case of the manuals, read the manuals and you'll come across tons of features and functions which will be very useful to you, but unless you know about them, you aren't even going to know to go out there and look. So I tell people you kind of have to consciously make the effort to check on some of these things, and it's not just with computers. I see people with cars that don't know how to run half of the features in their cars now. So as an example with the cars, garage door openers. A lot of the garage door openers are Wi-Fi enabled, and the cars can give you status and things like that. And you could be doing voice commands to open and close your garage door, and you paid for that feature or function, but they've never gone in and set it up. And since you've got these capabilities, that's where I recommend people go through some of the manuals, and the manuals will give you a flavor for some of the features and the functions and how to set things up there. Okay, any other questions, or otherwise I thank everyone for joining us today. The handouts and that are out there. A video of this I'll put out there later today. And we'll see you at the next question and answer, or at the next general meeting or that. So have a good day there.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tom.
you're welcome.